Oh, hello, my wonderful people. If you are new here, hello, my name is Holly Renee. If you are an OG in this space, welcome back. Let me know in the comments down below how things are going for you. I want to do a quick channel message for you today, because I just feel cold. And so I know that this is for someone out there. Let's jump into this. Um, I am feeling the sense of like it's almost like an emotional restraint on some levels. So you feel a lot of emotions coming forward, but it's almost like they're being stopped by like a dam. Okay. And it's kind of like, okay, if I open this dam even a little bit, it's gonna break. Because my emotions are just really at the brink of breaking everything. Okay, now I want to be clear about something. Um, oops, sorry, I knocked the table. This has nothing to do with your ability or inability to feel emotions, okay? Because I think that this is something. What the heck? My Alexa just said that she's playing or couldn't play tissue repair frequency. Like I didn't ask for that. So I don't know what that means. Some of you, perhaps this is a somatic thing. Okay. We're getting into something here. Hold on. I got to get Alexa though. Hey, Alexa, play frequency music, please. I didn't even ask her to play frequency music, by the way, before. It was just meditation. So, anyways, the reason why I feel like that's important is because I know that we hold a lot of emotions in our bodies, right? So, somatic work, you guys know I'm obsessed with yin yoga with Heather. um, you can learn more down below, but um, there's something specific about your emotional state wants to come forward, but in a new way. It's asking you to actually use your emotional capacity, connect in with your emotional part of yourself specifically so that you can um release anything that feels uh uncomfortable to you. Okay. Now you're used to like having an emotional release, like, for example, like I said, like the day I'm opening, I feel like you're not someone who struggles with emotions and letting out emotions. When you want to cry, you may have to stop yourself depending on where you are, but I think you can. But I think more than anything, this is more about the body is speaking to you right now to release. It's asking you to release from the inside out. And this can be uncomfortable. It also can be very, very healing. And there is a level of emotional stuff that is literally going back to like babyhood. I almost want to say like being a baby. Now, I want to be clear about something because I think it's incredibly important when I speak about this stuff that I make it clear that this is not an invitation for you to go back and do a bunch of shadow work on your past and on your inner child and your inner baby and all of these things. I'm not really saying that's what spirit wants right now. I think more than anything, you just need to be seen in this. And I also think that it's incredibly impactful that you allow yourself to understand that you are holding on to a lot. If you feel like I'm holding on to so much, I feel tired, I feel like it's never enough, it's never good enough, it's constant. I feel like I'm being seen, but not by the people who I want to be seen by. And so on, right? If that feels like you right now, this is a level of integration you're being called forward to, and to be able to move into your next level. Okay. It's not that you have to do this, it's that you're going to feel much better to do it. Do you want to go into this next phase feeling this heavy, or do you want to go into this next phase feeling empowered and excited and inspired for where you're going, right? Because at the end of the day, you're moving into this new stage of your life, and you have to remember that you don't have to hold on to all of this, right? A lot of the emotional damage that is being held within the body, that's being held within your mind, within your emotional body, is really never and was never from you specifically, right? It was some genetic, right, through the bloodline. Some of you are holding on to that. Some of you are quite literally purging and releasing things that the ancestors never got the opportunity to do. Some of you are holding on to, emotional stuff that maybe friends and family and the society had given to you. A lot of this stuff is not yours. And we talk a lot about beliefs and shifting beliefs and changing your beliefs. but right now it's like your emotional state, right? Being able to hold the frequency of your emotional state means knowing your emotional state. If you call yourself an empath, right? Spirit is not going to allow you to feel the collective's emotional state if you don't even know how to hold on to your own, because it'll collapse within you. And so there is this level of awareness that wants to drop in right now for you. And if I'm speaking to you, I need you to lean deeper into the body, looking in somatic work, doing breath work. Yin yoga is going to be so impactful for you. Yin yoga is quite literally staying in the same yin shape. So, like yoga shapes, yoga positions for 3 to 5 minutes. So you're not doing a flow, you're not moving in and out of positions. You're staying in the same stretch for 3 to 5 minutes to allow for this release to take place. I'll put a free class down below that you can enjoy. Heather has a lot of really beautiful offerings, but I think that more than anything, you know, of course, you can do that. And you also can do this on your own, lean into the body, trust the body. I think this is also another level of trust. Some of you are like, I need to have more faith. I need to have more trust. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, I really want to speak to you right now because if you're a spiritual person and you live your life based on what spirit is asking of you, based on what your intuition is guiding you towards, you have more trust than 99% of people on this planet. You're quite literally trusting, you're having faith in something that is not around, that is not physically able to be seen. I mean, right? Like you can't physically get confirmation from something unless, of course, you ask for a physical sign. But even then, you might be like, I don't know, was it? Was it not? These are all normal things. They will get easier and better as time goes on, and the more you strengthen your relationship with the spirit world. But it's incredibly important to remember that you do live your life in faith. You do live your life in pure trust, and you're building a resilience to that so that you can take these bigger risks that you really, really want. And risk is really more about surrender, right? Taking a risk is about surrender. And I did a reading earlier today about the difference between surrendering versus suffering. And it was incredibly important for this person and for you to know that to be in a state of suffering, you must surrender, right? So sometimes we think, well, if I surrender, then I'll be in suffering, when really the answer to your suffering is surrender. And it's not about surrendering every aspect of you. It's not about surrendering all parts of you, all beliefs, all knowing, all wisdom. It's about surrendering the parts that are hindering your growth in each and every moment. So instead of looking at it as, okay, this week I got to surrender this belief system that I'm not good enough, in each moment, ask your higher self right here and now. My intention is to see where I feel not good enough, where I tell myself I'm not good enough, where I oblige to the physical world that is telling me I'm not good enough. I don't know if that's the right word, but whatever. And in that moment, you surrender that belief. So when it comes up like, oh, you're not good enough to make this happen, or there's no way that this is going to work out for you, in that moment, you say, I know my truth. I know my light. I know I'm worthy of it. I have evidence of it in the physical, in the emotional, in the physical, in the spiritual, in the mental. I have evidence that I am good enough. And so this belief that I'm not, I now surrender to the light so that I may think and be in a new version of who I am just right now. And in the next moment, when it comes up, you do it again. And so it's not about tackling a huge goal. It's about moment to moment connection and realization. Okay. And support to that part of you. And support whatever capacity that is, whatever you feel like you can hold, whatever you feel like you can do. If you feel like, this is hard, of course it's hard. Of course it is. But is it really hard? Is it really hard to hear a thought about how you're not worthy and say, I'm not going to give space to this right now, and instead I'm going to tell myself how worthy I am? Is that really hard to think differently? It's not. You're being convinced that it's hard to surrender when in reality, all you have to do in that moment is connect to the light within you and let it do the work. Okay. And so this is more about, trust of self. Can you trust yourself to do this? Because if you struggle a lot with trust, it's because there is a level of trust within you that is not being fulfilled here, right? So instead it's like, well, if I can't trust myself, then I'm going to throw it all onto to God, to the universe, to do these things for me. And then, of course, that doesn't work, right? Because the universe just mirrors you in your reality. And so then it starts to become resentment to not just yourself, but to the divine. And then when you have resentment to the divine and to the life around you, then all of a sudden you're living in a bubble of resentment to the life in front of you. And you can't really experience life if there is a veil of resentment or a veil of frustration or a veil of this is too hard or a veil of victimhood. And so this is calling you to the table to become the observer, right? And to observe what it is that you see in front of you and decide what you can transmute and what should stay. Because I think a lot of you are using an exceedingly amount, a high amount of energy towards trying to change parts of you that really were never meant to be changed. Okay, like your uniqueness or changing, being silly or the fear of being weird. So instead, you're masking yourself up. Well, you're using a lot of energy. Be weird. Who cares? Like, honestly, who cares? Right. Obviously you care, right? And so that's okay. But we want to honor that part of you. Okay. And then the last thing I want to bring forward here um is about nourishment, um, and what nourishment really means, and how to bring yourself back to wholeness. Because if you're in a state of victimhood or resentment or anger, right? Um, there's a lot of tools that you could use to bring yourself back to a space of contentment or observation. We're not asking you to bring you all the way back to joy or all the way back to happiness. It's more about, how could I bring myself to a space where I feel more balanced? Um, Now, it's not to put out the fire, the anger or the rage. It's not to put that out. It's about how to tend to it so that it's actually helpful, right? If you have a fire that is out of control, right, it's going to cause more damage than what you want. So it's about tending to that fire. Now, all the tools that you feel that you have or that you've been given in the past about bringing yourself to a space of contentment might look like dance or shaking your body or stretching or speaking or hitting a pillow or yelling into a pillow or whatever, right? But really what they're asking you to do is come to this space with a level of surrender of, what, angry version of me or resentful version of me or hey, you that feels like a victim, instead of trying to force you into compliance. Instead, I'm going to come to you from a place of surrender because I don't actually know what you need, right? And allowing that to be your movement forward and saying, even if I don't know what I need in this moment, I can come to myself and ask, because I know that even if this part of me is not quite serving the reality that I desire, it is serving me. And to give it a voice is incredibly powerful because what you're doing is giving yourself a voice, right? And so that's really important. And I think that giving this part of you a voice, not to go off on the people around you or to road rage, it's about giving yourself a voice in your own energy, in quiet, behind closed doors, in the bathroom, in the shower, in your prayer. This is a sacred, sacred piece of life to be able to get to know you and to give yourself space. I'm not gonna, if my 6-year-old is having a hard time about something and he calls me into his bedroom and tells me something, vulnerable, right, about how he's feeling or how something made him feel. I'm not going to then go to his dad and tell him everything or go to my friends and family and tell them everything. That is a sacred moment between me and him that he felt safe enough to express to me how he felt. I'll give him options of expressing himself to the proper channel or to the proper space, but it's not my job to go and air that out to everybody. So I think that it's incredibly important to also give yourself that same respect, right? Like, I think that we find things out about ourselves and we immediately are like, oh, I'm going to go and tell everybody about this. I don't think that's helpful at all, actually. I think that that takes away the desire of wanting to express to yourself what's really going on behind the scenes. And so that's important. And the last thing, those of you that feel like you're being activated and there's, you play a role of leadership, psychic, healer, multidimensional seer, whether this is professionally, whether this is in a corporate world, it doesn't matter. Okay. You are that no matter where you are placed in life. And for those of you that feel like you're having a lot coming online for you at this time, this is why. All of this is happening for you right now. And these are real activations coming forward. And so the other thing I just want to say here is to be mindful of what you share. We get a lot of activations from a lot of different realms, and these realms are cool to talk about. They're cool to lean into. We're talking galactic, fae, fairy realms, right? Dragon realms. I feel like dragon realm is one that people really want to speak on a lot. And the galactic, but the dragon, right? It's a very sacred realm though, right? They don't need to be seen as that. Does that make sense? Like the human will want to go and spew this excitement about dragon activations and all this stuff. But something that is very, very clear to me about this realm is that they don't need the human praise, right? None of them do, right? None of them need to be seen as something. Um, More than anything, the dragon realm specifically desires to be acknowledged within you, because they are that protection, they are that fire, they are that wheelhouse of movement forward. Um, and at the same time, it's a sacred connection, right? It's a sacred, empowered moment that everyone has. Um, But the moment that you start telling everyone about it, we start talking about it all the time, you're now sharing that sacredness with others. But sometimes it's meant to be within you, right? Like sometimes these activations are meant to be your own. And maybe one day you share, maybe one day you create. Earlier, I was doing a reading and I got this card. Let's see, it's right here. Bake magic cookies. When you bake cookies, it's like the first thing you want to do is give them away, right? It's like, I'll take a couple and then I'll give it to everybody. Well, sometimes those batch of cookies are meant for you. Okay. And then you can make another batch with the knowing of how you created them, what they were like, and the excitement that you had while ingesting them. Okay. And you could make another batch, and this time it could be even more powerful. But the intention is not, this is for me, the intention is, this is for others. Okay. And so make sure that you're really enjoying what you're receiving at this time as an advanced soul, because what you're receiving energetically and spiritually, physically even, and emotionally, right? All these things, what you're receiving is really meant for you at this time. And so try to keep it close to the heart. And if you feel like you have to share, you need to share, you want to share, make sure you're double checking that ego, that human, and making sure that it knows that, we don't have to share this for this to be real. This can be real even if it's just shared between our own energy. And so that is the difference between, a space of leadership and a space of figuring that out, right? So I think that's it for today. I didn't pull any cards. I love you all so very much. If you are a psychic in any capacity, I do coaching and consulting for psychics, whether it's in business or whether it's around your gifts. You can find all of those offerings below. We're also have this incredible membership, the psychic headquarters. It is the place to be if you are a psychic, whether you're in a professional state, whether you're just starting out. Having a foundation is important in that space, but there are tons of resources to activate your gifts, to activate your leadership within your own life and also within others, how to bring forward messages that feel impactful to you. And it's also a space where myself and Heather, with her yin yoga, and myself with my own gifts, are able to kind of fill you up as well as you're supporting so many. I know more than anything that feeling of loneliness a bit in this world, when we play these roles, because we fill so many people up. And I just want to create a space where you feel like you're filled up as well. So you can check out everything below. I love you guys. I'm thankful for you. I hope that this served you. If you could do me a favor, um, as you receive this, as a way to kind of indulge in this energetic exchange. You don't have to, of course. Gratitude is always helpful just within your heart. But if you want to like this and engage in this, it's helpful for me, so that I can keep showing up and doing these things in the way that I desire. Um, so other than that, I love you. Have the best day, and I will chat with you very, very soon. Bye.